Hey, you have permission to be authentically you. Sure, you knew that already, but are you living it out? This episode is all about getting you there. Yo, I'm Coach Jay, and this is the PepTalk Podcast, where I cheer you on and coach you up every week. And in today's episode, I'm going to challenge you to believe that who you are is good enough for where you're trying to go. So if you haven't had your dose of pep lately, don't worry, I got you. Let's go. Welcome to episode 23 of the PepTalk Podcast, coming to you much later than I would have wanted it to. Yo, I've been down with sickness, and so I couldn't even record and have it ready for you for Monday, but I'm healing up, and I thought that I would go ahead and crank out an episode today, and we'll be back on track with Monday releases starting this upcoming Monday. I'm excited about today's episode because we're diving deep into this whole topic of how to encourage you, how to give you permission to be authentically who you are. Because a lot of people out there still think that they have to be somebody else. They have to do what other people are doing. And when you do that, you lose out on your biggest superpower. You are the secret sauce, and I've said this before. Now, I want you to imagine with me that you're scrolling through your social media feed, and all you see are the picture-perfect lives of people smiling. You know, the birds are chirping, and there's a seemingly endless array of success stories, right? Like, this constant exposure to carefully curated content can lead to a detrimental habit called comparison. Now, if you don't know what comparison is, and I'm sure most of you do, comparison is the act of measuring our worth, success, and happiness against what we see in others. And it often results in feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, and a distorted perception of reality. So today we're going to explore the transformative power, it's transformative, y'all, of breaking free from comparison and embracing authenticity and uniqueness. Because, and here's the main reason why I'm doing this episode, the world deserves to see you and experience you as you are. I'm going to say that again. The world deserves to see you and experience you as you are. Now, that does not pull apart the fact that we all change and we need to change at different points in life. However, who you are is enough. And I don't think enough people are hearing that message. Or if they're hearing the message, it's something that's getting caught in the head knowledge and the heart knowledge to where it's not transferring out into the way that we live. So that's why we're saying today that you have permission to be you. We want you to be you, fantabulous you, splendiferous you. You have permission to be you. Now, we have to break free from the comparison mindset. I dealt with it for years, and if I'm honest with you, which I always am on this podcast, I still deal with it sometimes now. You get on Instagram, and a lot of the messages that I bring to my base might get one like, right? However, I can scroll through my feed and I can see people who are famous or who have been doing this for a lot longer saying the exact same thing and getting millions of likes. Does that diminish what I said? Does that diminish what I think? Does that diminish the message? No. Does that diminish me? No. It just means that I don't have the exposure yet that some of these more established coaches have. So I can't allow myself to give in to imposter syndrome and believe that, my message is not good enough. But I also can't allow myself to fall into a comparison mindset and compare what I'm doing to what they're doing, because every person's walk is different. The path that you're taking to get where you're going, while it may mirror what somebody else is doing, it is never exactly the same. And when we come to a point where we realize that, our quality of life and our quality of accepting ourselves becomes that much better. Now, I'm giving you permission to stop comparing yourself to others. You have the right to embrace your own journey and celebrate your own progress. Your uniqueness is your superpower, and it's time to unleash it and just go beast mode just by being who you are. I want you to take a minute. Maybe open up the Notes app on your phone, get out a sheet of paper, and I want you to think about what truly makes you unique, okay? What truly makes you who you are? Like, what are your strengths, your passions, your talents, your gifts, your abilities? And as you think about these qualities, I want you to make a list of what those things are. And as I was preparing for this episode, I actually took a moment and I did that for myself. And here's what I wrote down. I wrote down that I am compassionate. I'm kind-hearted. I love serving others. I love people. I am creative and passionate. Those are some of the things that are at the core of who I am, and everything else seems to spawn out from that. What are those things for you? I want you to write them down or put them in the notes on your phone so that you can go back and refer to them often. Because it is those qualities that are going to help you create a journey through life that is unlike anybody else's. And that is something to be proud of. We're not proud enough of our journeys. We're not proud enough of our stories. No matter what the past looks like, you're standing here right now, you're listening to this podcast, and you're looking for ways to improve. Embrace that journey. Embrace that story. Embrace the qualities about yourself that are amazing. And while I'm at it, let me also tell you that it's important to understand that authenticity is magnetic. And when we allow ourselves to be true to who we are, people are naturally drawn to that. Authenticity creates connections, it fosters trust, and it attracts opportunities. I'll say it again, who you are is enough. And by embracing your true self, you become a beacon of light in a world that often tries to mold us into something else. And I've said this to you before, but it bears saying again, the worst thing that you can do to yourself is reject yourself. When you reject yourself, you leave you with nobody. You were utterly alone and isolated. So in a world where everybody else may reject you, please don't reject yourself. Learn to embrace who you are, and you'll find that other people have been waiting to embrace who you are as well. Now, I say that, but also understand that embracing your authenticity, your authentic self, sorry, I got tongue-tied, requires some vulnerability. It means showing up as you are, imperfections and all. It means letting go of the fear of judgment and stepping into your own power. But trust me, the rewards are infinite. They're immeasurable. When you are unapologetically yourself, you inspire others to do the same. I think about my mom, and I've been open about this, who just passed away a few weeks ago. In the memorial, one of the things that always made me smile, and I've reflected a lot about it as the weeks have gone on, is that my mom, Arve Fuller, she was always unapologetically herself. If you couldn't take it, that's a you problem. That wasn't a her problem. She refused to hide her light, to hide who she was under a bushel, under a barrel. But she stood proudly no matter where she was, and she allowed who she was to shine. And as I began to think about my own life, I began to realize that in some ways, I've always had a habit of dimming my light so that it would not appear that I was outshining someone else. So if you are that person, I'm going to tell you something that I'm now telling myself. It is not your responsibility to dim your light for fear of outshining someone else. If your light is bright, your light is just bright. Let it shine. Just let it shine. Let it shine as brightly as it is, because as Marianne Williamson says, you freeing yourself, you freeing your light, you showing your power, it doesn't diminish anybody else. If they've embraced their true selves, you embracing your power and shining your light frees them to do the same. So now let's talk about some practical steps to help you break away from the comparison trap and embrace your permission to be you, authentically you, uniquely you. Step 1, I'd say unfollow any accounts on social media that trigger comparisons and replace them with content that uplifts you and inspires you. Like if you find yourself always going back to see what David Lee or, Sarah Jane, whatever, what they're doing, or if you're always trying to mirror their aesthetic or mirror their content, it's time to unfollow them. If you are looking at people and you feel imposter syndrome starting to set in, it's time to unfollow that account and replace it with something that is going to uplift and edify you. So instead of following influencers who constantly showcase a perfect life, consider following actual individuals who openly share their challenges, their growth journeys, and their authenticity. Surrounding yourself with positive and relatable content can shift your perspective and promote self-acceptance. Step 2, practice self-compassion. You've got to listen, you're out there being compassionate with everybody else, but you refuse to show compassion to yourself. That has to stop. That has to stop now. When you find yourself comparing, I want you to pause and remind yourself that everyone has their own unique path. Treat yourself with kindness and understanding, just as you would a dear friend. One exercise that you can try is writing down a positive affirmation or engaging in daily self-affirmations to cultivate self-compassion and to boost your self-esteem. And step 3, celebrate your wins. I don't do this enough. I have noticed that the way my mind works, even in the moment of a win, I'm always thinking about how I can get the next win. So I never pause long enough to truly bask in, man, I just did this. This feels awesome. I haven't walked for a graduation service since I got my bachelor's degree. And since that point, I've gotten 2 master's degrees. I didn't attend either of them. And as I sit back and I think about it now, that's a regret. I didn't take a moment to celebrate what was right in front of me because my mind was already off racing to the next journey or pathway. Listen, that journey or that path will be there. It is important for your health, for your sense of uniqueness, for who you are, to stop and to celebrate your wins, no matter how small they are. You've got to acknowledge your achievements and your progress. Even something as simple as, at the end of the day, celebrating some things that you've done that you're proud of can really serve to build a momentum in you. And every minor win becomes major over time as it stacks. In his book, Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about habit stacking. Starting small with habits and gradually adding more to them so that over time, what was once a small win becomes a major transformation because you've taken time to notice what you're doing and to build it. And so I'm challenging you right now to begin celebrating your wins. Even if you got up and you made your bed, that is a win. Stop, acknowledge it, and then move on to the next thing. The next trouble, journey, obstacle, pathway, it's going to be there. Stop and smell the roses. I'm trying to be better about doing that, and I want you to be better about doing that too. And finally, step 4, to erasing this comparison mindset and embracing your permission to be you, is to embrace discomfort. Stepping into your authentic self often requires venturing outside of the comfort zone or the box of life that we often place ourselves in. So I want to encourage you, take calculated risks, explore new interests, and challenge yourself. For instance, if public speaking has always been something that has frightened you, join a Toastmasters group. Take a class on public speaking. Go live on social media. just do it. You'll find that Nike's slogan to just do it will really grow you when you apply it to your life in an active way. So, we've talked about 4 things, okay? So through this journey of embracing your authentic self, it's crucial to practice patience and perseverance. Breaking free from comparison and embracing your uniqueness is an ongoing process. There will be moments when you stumble or doubt yourself, but that's okay. Keep reminding yourself that you have permission to just be you. As I was thinking about this episode, I thought about a friend of mine, and I won't use her name, but she struggled for years comparing herself to others. She dealt with imposter syndrome really badly and felt like nobody noticed her. And it got to a point where she even refused to notice herself. She was measuring her success against the successes of others. She was dumping her failures under the weight of what she saw others doing. And she was just generally an unhappy person. One day she decided to see, she got a life coach. It wasn't me. And this coach helped her to really begin being grateful for who she was. Helped her to tap in to who she was, her successes, her failures, her passions, which eventually led her out of the rut that she was in. She quit her job, pursued a new career path. Now she is an entrepreneur, and she's well on her way to making 6 figures, being exactly who she is. Her authenticity is what draws people to her. And regardless of wins and losses that she takes in her personal or professional life, she refuses to transform who she is to meet anybody else's expectations. She lives by who she is, and people are drawn to that. Her customer base is drawn to that. Her client base is drawn to that. And it's just a beautiful thing. Y'all, when you embrace truly who you are, you will begin to thrive in ways that you never would have thought possible. And you'll find ways to leverage who you are for the kind of happiness and success that you can only dream about. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to conclude the podcast. I'm going to give you the quote of the day and some parting thoughts about giving you permission to be you. Because you're great, y'all. You really are great. And this is episode 23 of the PepTalk Podcast, which is also great. And I'm Coach Jay, and I also happen to think I'm great. My wife and kids would agree, and I don't have to pay them to say that. But we'll be right back. Y'all just jam to the music. Peace. All right, and we're back. Episode 23 of the PepTalk Podcast. While it's coming a little bit later in the week, I hope that it has been an encouragement to you. Now, as we move toward concluding this episode, I want to leave you with a powerful reminder that you may not have heard lately. You are enough as you are right now. Yes, we all have areas that we need to grow in. Our pathways diverge at different points, but you're enough. What's in you is enough. Your journey is unique and beautiful, and I can't encourage you enough to embrace your authenticity. Celebrate your progress and let go of comparison. The world needs to see who you are and experience who you are. And also remember that this is an ongoing journey. Embracing your authentic self and letting go of comparison requires consistent effort and self-awareness. You have to be patient with yourself as you navigate this process. And when you find yourself slipping back into comparison, which is so easy to do, trust me, revisit the strategies that I gave you in this process. And as I always do as I close, I remind you to find the right community. Because in addition to the strategies that I gave you toward the middle of this episode, the right people are life-changing. And I say that experiencing what it's like to be around the right people. Engage in conversations that celebrate your authenticity and your personal growth. Share your story, y'all. Share your story. There's power in that. And in doing so, you release others and give them permission to do the same. All right, let's talk about our quote of the day. Yay. Our quote of the day is from the great Henry David Thoreau. And it says, "Be yourself, not your idea of what you think somebody else's idea of yourself should be." Be you. Authentically you. That's enough. All right, so thank you all for being patient this week. A couple of people did reach out, send me emails asking where was the episode. It blesses me that there are people out there who really rock and vibe with this podcast, with this community. It means the world to me. And if you find value in what we're doing, please reach out. Connect with me on social media at _JB Speaks on Instagram. Email us at the peppodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at PepTalk Pod. I'd love to know who's listening, to get your insights on the episodes, and just get to know you. I want to get to know you, and I think we do that as we connect with one another. So please reach out. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned. I can't talk. Stay tuned for next episode, which is really going to be good, and it will be here on Monday, y'all. So in just a few days, you're getting like a double dose of pep, which is going to be cool. So until then, keep believing in yourself, keep embracing who you truly authentically are, and never forget that you have the power to create a life that reflects who you truly are. And you owe it to yourself and to those around you to be fantabulously you. So you know how we end it, right? Keep it love, keep it light, and keep it peppy. Hey, that came out great. Love y'all. Be blessed. See you next time.